High in the folds of a quiet mountain, a small monastery stood hidden among the clouds. Wind whispered through pine trees, and the sound of prayer bells floated in the air. Inside, a handful of monks lived simple lives, meditating, sweeping courtyards, collecting alms, and learning the art of peace. Among them was a young disciple, sincere, curious, and full of fire. His name was not written in history, but his story lives on, for it was he who once asked the oldest question of the restless human heart: how do I calm the storm inside my own mind? Every morning, the young monk walked down to the village to collect alms. It was part of his daily practice, a lesson in humility and detachment. He would walk barefoot, holding his bowl, greeting each villager with quiet eyes and a gentle smile. One morning, as he knocked on a door, a young woman appeared. Her hair was wet from a recent bath, and sunlight caught on every drop that fell from her strands. Her face was calm, her smile warm, and in that moment, something inside the monk trembled. He had never seen such beauty before. She offered him food with reverence. He bowed, received it, and left, but her image stayed behind, burning softly in his thoughts. That night, as he sat in meditation, her face appeared again. No matter how hard he tried to focus, the vision returned: the glow of her skin, the curve of her smile, the whisper of her voice. The next morning, he broke one of the monastery's rules. He returned to the same house. She greeted him kindly once more. He smiled back, telling himself it was harmless. But in truth, the seed of desire had already been planted. Days passed, and his visits became frequent. The woman remained respectful, unaware of the battle he fought within. But his heart, once steady like a mountain, now shook like a leaf in the wind. Meditation became impossible. Peace slipped away from him silently. One day, he arrived earlier than usual. The woman opened her door and said, "Venerable sir, I give alms only after my morning bath. You've come too early. Please wait while I go to the river." She smiled politely and walked away. The young monk watched her go, her steps gentle, her figure disappearing into the trees. And then curiosity whispered to him. He followed. At the riverbank, he hid behind a tree and watched. The sound of water mixed with the beating of his heart. He knew it was wrong, but his mind had already lost its reins. Lust clouded his thoughts like fog over clear glass. When she left, he ran back quickly and pretended he had been waiting all along. This became his secret ritual each morning, hiding behind trees, feeding the shadows in his mind. Soon, his joy turned into guilt. His eyes avoided others. His silence deepened. The master noticed. One evening, the master called him and said gently, "My child, your spirit has changed. What troubles your heart?" The disciple bowed his head. "Nothing, master. I'm only tired." The master said nothing, but the next morning he followed. From a distance, he saw everything: the tree, the woman, the shameful gaze. The old man sighed deeply. There was no anger, only sadness. He walked quietly to the young monk and placed a firm hand on his trembling shoulder. The disciple froze. His body turned cold, his eyes wide with fear. He began to stammer, trying to explain, to apologize. But the master said nothing. He simply held the young man's hand and said, "Come, walk with me." They climbed the hill together in silence until they reached a muddy pond, still, brown, and stagnant. The master stopped and said, "Cross this pond and return." The monk hesitated, then began removing his robe. But the master stopped him. "Why remove your robe?" "Master," the monk replied softly, "if I walk through the mud, my robe will become dirty." The master smiled, calm, kind, but piercing. "So," he said, "you wish to keep your robe clean, but you allowed your priceless mind to drown in dirt? The young monk's eyes filled with tears. He understood. The master pointed at the muddy pond. "Look at it," he said. "This is what lust looks like. At first, it seems soft, harmless, but step into it once and it sticks. Struggle harder and it pulls you deeper. The more you fight, the more it stains." He looked at his disciple with deep compassion. "My son, when you let desire control your mind, it blinds you. It steals your discipline, your light, your peace. The robe can be washed, but when the mind is stained, the cleansing takes much longer." The young monk fell to his knees. "Forgive me, master. I have lost my path." The master rested his hand on the boy's head. "Falling is not failure," he said, "but staying fallen is. Rise again wiser, purer, stronger." From that day forward, the young monk began a new journey. He stopped visiting the village. He sat alone, facing his own mind. The same images returned again and again, but he no longer ran from them. He watched them, breathed through them, and let them pass. Some days were hard. Some nights were unbearable. But with every breath, every prayer, every sunrise, his mind grew lighter. Desire slowly turned into discipline. And years later, that same young man became a great teacher himself. He often told his disciples, "Victory over others lasts a day. Victory over yourself lasts a lifetime." And as his students listened, he would smile and say, "Lust, anger, greed, they are not enemies to be hated. They are shadows to be understood. If you stop feeding them, they fade." He would look toward the horizon, the same mountain pond, now still and clear, and whisper, "When the mind becomes pure, even muddy water reflects the sky." In today's world, peace of mind is harder to find than ever. Our thoughts are clouded by what we see, what we scroll, what we imagine. But remember, the mind is like a pond. Stop throwing stones into it, and it will clear by itself. Protect your mind from what stains it. Feed it silence. Feed it gratitude. Feed it truth. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who is struggling to find calm. And don't forget to subscribe to Wordy Tales, where every story reminds you, peace begins the moment you decide to protect your own mind.